How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? And welcome back to the Count It All Joy podcast with your boy Will. And I'm back on that episode today. On today, man, I got a pretty good episode for y'all today. I hope so. Anyway, hope y'all been good. Again, every time I take a week, uh, when I end up not posting 1 week, it's like, man, it feels like I haven't been on here for a while. But yeah, man, hope y'all been doing well. Uh, I recently just graduated, so that's new. Uh, Yeah, I'm done with college. Thank God. I was getting tired of school, but yeah, man, I think I'll probably have an episode, I guess, reflecting about that. But that's not what today's gonna be about. But yeah, man, I'm excited to, I guess, embark this new journey. Uh, but it's been a great 4 years. Well, 5 years basically, and I'm appreciative of everything I've learned throughout the way, all the friends I've been able to gain, all the relationships and friendships I've been able to foster, and all those different types of things. And I'm just thankful. Um, I'm just thankful for my experience. And yeah, man, I'm just ready for this next chapter of my life. So, but anyway, y'all, I hope y'all been doing well. I hope y'all been staying blessed. I know a lot of people are starting to finish up school. I think little kids, as far as elementary, middle school, high school, I believe they just finished school too. At least in Georgia, they have. So yeah, man, I hope y'all get to enjoy y'all summers and, do what y'all want to do. But today, I want to talk about a topic that I think is very important. And I feel like a lot of people aren't as aware of, or they forget a lot of times. Um, but I want to talk about knowing your worth and knowing your value. And I'll, I'll talk about a few different aspects of it. But just knowing your worth, knowing who you are, knowing, uh, you know, what, what you are, whose you are, really. So, but I think a lot of us forget that and go about life not having that on our mind. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. But first, I wanted to talk about knowing who you are. Uh, Again, it's a lot of things that go under that, fall under that, but you have to know who you are, right? Knowing first, you have to know whose you are, and that's God. You're a child of God, so I think that's the most important thing. First, knowing who you are, whose you are, and it's not always about. It's not really about how you look, what you wear, things like that. I think it's more so about the internal. And obviously, we live in a society where external is more gratified, or more so gratified, and it's more valued and things like that. But in real life, when when you're trying to build real relationships, long lasting relationships, when you're trying to impact people, and interact with others, the internal is what's most important. Who you are at the core, but knowing who you are, knowing that you're a child of God is the most important thing first. So I want to start with that. But knowing your strengths and weaknesses, your strengths and your weaknesses. I think a lot of times people can tell you what they're good at, but then when it starts to come to, okay, what are you not as great at? What are your weaknesses? Everybody has strengths. Everybody has weaknesses, and I think a lot of times it's hard to recognize your weaknesses and sometimes even your strengths by yourself. You need other people. That's why relationships are so important. That's why we're called to build relationship, and you know build a type of rapport with people. And because look, I have best friends who we're entirely different, but we pick each other up where the other person falls. Their strengths might be my weaknesses, and vice versa. So I think that's why it's important to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And a lot of times you need other people to point those things out for you, because during this time in college, I've been able to grow immensely, but then also learn myself more through experiences, but through other people. Them telling me, hey, Will, you do this a lot, or blah, blah, blah. or you're really good at this, or man, Will, you always saying this. And some of them already knew, but then some of them was like, oh, I didn't even peep I did that, or I didn't even peep this is how I was reacting to certain things. And just having people around you that can tell you and be honest with you and let you know when you're wild and let you know when you're doing great. So I think both of those things are important. So knowing your strengths or your weaknesses, and your weaknesses, that's one of the first steps to knowing your worth. Taking a step forward, taking another step. I think a lot of times knowing your worth is being confident, right? And being confident in what you do and who you are. But first, you have to have confidence in God and His sovereignty and His divinity. And I think that confidence will trickle down. Now, it's not just some. That's not saying that you won't have situations or instances where, and I'll tell a few stories moving forward, but a few instances where that confidence might not be where it need to be. But overall, you need to have confidence in God and knowing that He's going to take care of everything. And we have to remember His promises and remember, uh, what He's promised us, and remember on His word and dwell on that. But I think having confidence in Him first, then and confidence in His sovereignty, then confidence you'll have more confidence in yourself, and then that will trickle down to everything else. So knowing that God's going to protect you, knowing that God's going to provide for you, then you have confidence in all these other areas because you have the utmost confidence in God. And then, so I think that's an important part of it. I think a lot of people lack confidence, and you can never, I don't think you can reach your true potential without confidence. If you're always down on yourself, negative talk, you don't see yourself in the light that you actually are, how can you reach your full potential if you don't believe in yourself? So that's what I would say with that as far as confidence. A verse that I like that revolves around that, Jeremiah 17:7-8, it says, but blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when He comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in the year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. So it expounded a little bit more so, but the beginning of it says, but blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. Uh, as long as we have confidence in the Lord, not in God, I'm not saying that everything's going to be peaches and cream and everything's going to be all right. And you're going to be the creme de la creme of everything, but you know that God's going to take care of everything. You're going to have what you need. And when you have that confidence in Him and you have that belief and trust, again, you're not worried about other things. You're not gonna let other things dictate how you feel. And obviously, we're gonna have emotions, but overall, you know that everything's gonna be taken care of. So I think that verse encapsulates what I was trying to say a little bit, but just having confidence in Him. And then it says they will be like a tree planted by the water, that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when He comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in the year of drought. It never fails to bear fruit. And it's basically just saying, like, you know that God's going to take care of you through every single circumstance, and you have the confidence in Him. And having that, then you're able to go through life and go through these trials and tribulations and be able to triumph through these things because you have confidence in God. You know He's going to take care of everything. So that's what I would say. Moving forward, I think this is a huge thing, and this is something I've tried to do throughout my whole life, even when I was a little bit younger. But I mean, being transparent with yourself, being honest with yourself. Um, I think being able to look in the mirror, and there's a verse. It's like I always forget the actual verse, but it's basically saying a man who looks in the mirror and basically forgets what he sees, that's a fool, So uh, being honest with yourself, being transparent with yourself, knowing knowing what you're great at, knowing what you're not as great at, knowing the habits you have, knowing the different attributes, knowing your tendencies. As you get older, you're gonna learn yourself more, but being honest with yourself and being transparent with yourself with those things. Don't lie to yourself. Because a lot of times people can lie to themselves so much that they start to actually believe that's the case. And that's when it gets scary. But I say that, be honest and transparent with yourself. So, and this is where we're going to start to pivot into other things. So when people say little things about you, when people talk down about you or say these things, I mean, they have no bearing on you. You don't have to question yourself. You don't have to question what you are, or who you are, because you've already been honest with yourself. So once you establish that with yourself, and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm not that great at this, or no, I don't do this that well, or I am pretty good at this. When you're honest and transparent with yourself with those things, when people say things that it might not sound great, or say things to get at you or anything like that, or even on the flip side, when people congratulate you, you're not getting a big head, because you've already established that, okay, I know I'm pretty great at this. Now I appreciate the congratulations. I appreciate the applause, but it's not going to my head. Um, those different things I think help. When people say things, you don't have to question anything. You don't have to doubt. You don't have to be like, well, actually, like, no, because you've already been honest with yourself. Now, there are certain things, again, you're not going to be able to recognize until people say it. But for the most part, you recognize what you do, what you like to do, what you're not great at, what you are great at, and be honest with yourself with those things and work towards them. And so this is where I kind of transition this topic at, which kind of made me want to talk about this in the first place. But we can't let people belittle us or define us. Well, first define us, right? We can't let people define us, tell us who we are, and then we can't let people belittle us. Uh, I definitely have a couple of stories that I'll talk about, but I think that's important. Letting people define you. Uh, that's something that I think a lot of us, we might not recognize. But when people try to put us in a box, or people try to tell us we're this or we're that, or um, put you in this light, or make you seem like you're doing this, or whatever it may be, people are defining you. And it's the society we live in. People, it's easier to just put somebody in a box and say, okay, you fall under this category. But everyone's unique in their own way. Everybody is one of one. And you have to know that yourself. And you can't let somebody else try to tell you who you are. And I have a story. I ain't gonna say no names, but it was I can't give a timeline because then it'll just give it away. But one of my basketball coaches, um, so it was during the season, and I wasn't playing that much, but I think it was during the time. I think it was like mid season, or it might have been the beginning of the season. It doesn't matter. But we were having it might have been the beginning of the season, before the season actually. But we were having a players meeting. Not a players meeting, but we were all having one-on-one meetings. So the coach was having meetings with everybody, and I had my meeting, and we were talking about whatever, talking about the season, talking about, I think it was at the beginning of the year, but anyway, we are talking. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I think it was one-on-one meetings after the season had ended. So I think it was one-on-one meetings going into the next season. So I guess it was during the off season, and guess he was talking about what he was looking for the next season. I'm assuming. I could be wrong, but let's just go with that. So I'm having my one-on-one meeting, and he's talking about all this. He's saying a lot of stuff. I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever, blah 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 blah. This man, he told me he was talking about all this, and he asked me what I expect and all of this, and then he was like, yeah, you remind me of a player, a few years back. Uh, Jack Fitzpatrick. And I'm just sitting there like, all right, Jack Fitzpatrick. Never heard of game, right? Didn't know who he was. I'm like, okay, Jack Fitzpatrick. All right, cool. Let's see what he got to say with this. He's like, yeah, Jack didn't play at all. Jack was just a great teammate, cheered his teammates on, wasn't that skilled. Uh, but he was a great teammate, great guy to be around. He never played, was always sitting on the bench, but he was just a great teammate, and just guys love being around him. And yeah, man, that's why I see your role being just a Jack Fitzpatrick, a Jack Fitzpatrick. In that moment, I'm just staring at him, And I don't even react. I just sit there. You know, like when you're talking to somebody and they're saying something, they go on a tangent and you just like subtly nodding your head. Like not even really in agreement, but just like, okay. I didn't even do that. I just sat there and stared at him. And I said, bro just compared me to a bench warmer. I'm nothing. I'm cool. That's crazy work. Um, that was I tell that story. It's funny looking back, but in a moment, I felt like trash. You just compare me to shot. Hey, I don't even know who Jack is. You feel me? I don't know who bro is. Shout out to Jack. He was probably a great guy, but I'm not Jack, and Jack is not me. You know, so I don't even know why you felt the need to bring that up in the first place. Um, but yeah, bro compared me to Mr. Jack Fitzpatrick, and I always, every time I tell that story, it's just funny to me now because, again, going back to what I was talking about, he was defining me, trying to define me, trying to put me in a box, trying to tell me what I was or who I was or how he saw me as a player. And it couldn't have been further from the truth, which I knew that. But then, obviously he felt differently. But if I fed into what he was telling me and fed in and fully and believe what he was talking about, I might not be doing this right now. I probably, hey, according to him, or according to what he said to me, I should have quit because I'm not doing. I wasn't playing basketball, just to say I'm on the team, and respectfully, I wasn't playing just to clap on the bench. That's that's not my idea of a good time. Now, if I know going into that season that's my role, cool. Um, and I'll have to embrace it because I have before. But I'm not going into that like, oh, I don't mind my basketball career just sitting on the bench being a good. I'm not respectfully. So, uh, getting back to the topic though, bro was trying to define me, and I wasn't going, and it's just we can't let people try to define us and put us in a box and tell us who and what we are. Um, now some things you do need to take into account. There's some people who might tell you things and you might not necessarily like it, but it's true. You have to listen to it. And even in that whole conversation, he was telling me all those things we were talking about. I was trying. It wasn't going one or the other. I was actually trying to. I was actually listening, and internalizing. It was just 97% of the things he was saying. I was nothing. It just wasn't true. It was all your opinion, your perception, which I guess is valid. That's your perception. But again, I'm not going. So, uh, you also, again, once you're honest with yourself, it goes back to being honest with yourself and transparent with yourself. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. But you're not gonna sit here and tell me my strengths are my weaknesses. You're crazy as a mug. I'm just not going. So, we just have to be aware of that when people are trying to do that because people will try to do that. And if you let them do that, they will continue to do that. And that's a little story I want to talk about with not letting people define you. Because if I let that person, that coach, define me in that way, and I just went along with that, I would not be where I am today as far as anything with basketball or things like that. I would just think, oh well, I need to stop playing. But yeah, he was yeah, everything he said was cap. Uh, the second part of that, don't let people belittle you either. Uh, I have another story that I'll tell, and I won't say the timeline again, but uh, I was playing basketball, obviously, and it was another coach, or it could have been the same coach. It don't really matter at this point. But I had a coach, and he was saying, I ain't gonna get to specifics with this, but I had another situation, or the same situation, where a coach was basically saying that I don't want to get into specifics, but Uh, I'm trying to tell it without giving away anything. All I'm gonna say is that I had another coach who was belittling, demeaning, uh, picking on, uh, trying to find every little thing to nitpick and try to say I was this and I was that, trying to find a scapegoat. And when it gets to that and you feel you getting disrespected, it's tough, man. Now I'm talking about the parameters of sports and when you have a coach, and it's kind of difficult because most coaches aren't good coaches. And as I've gotten older, I recognize that most coaches are bad, either because they're on a power trip, or they just don't know X's and O's, or or they're strictly X's and O's. I've had all different types of coaching, and coaching is teaching. And with coaching, you need to be able to be a player's coach and be able to have X's and O's. I've had coaches that are just players coaches and can't do X's and O's. I've had coaches who are just X's and O's and have no relationship with their players. And there needs to be a balance. But I've had situations where the coach is strictly just X's and O's, and he built no relationship with his players, and every time he was saying something, it was something negative out his mouth. And you just have to recognize that when people try to belittle you and demean you, you cannot. Again, it goes back to being honest with yourself and transparent with yourself. You cannot let that define you or impact you in a way. There are things, listen, there are things, and you have to take some things you have to take with a grain of salt. There are people on this earth that when they tell you something, okay, yeah, I need to listen. They're telling me this for my benefit. I might not like it, but they're telling me this for my benefit. Um, but there are some people who are just gonna say things to get on your skin, to make you feel less than, to make you feel um, as if they're bigger and better than you, to let you know that they have some type of control or reign over you. There are different types of people like that. We just have to be aware of those things, and we can't let that impact our view of ourselves. Uh, and again, I've had different situations like that, and I've actually had, going back to the confidence thing, if I'm being fully honest, and I'll give a time period with this. It was during high school, and I'll say about junior year. I had a terrible coach. I ain't gonna throw smut on bro name because it is what it is, a long time ago. But my junior senior, it was a terrible experience. I had a terrible coach, and it was really bad. It was We had maybe 6 seniors on the team my senior year. Every senior quit except it was like 6 or 7, and I'm not doing that. It was either 6 seniors or 7 seniors. All of them quit except 2 of us, and it was crazy because the coach was just that bad, and he was just belittling everybody. And that my junior and senior year, it was terrible because I was losing confidence in myself because I was kind of the first time where I had a coach that was just, I don't know, he wasn't pouring it to me. Pause. It was more so just everything I was doing. It was like I wasn't doing anything right. When I did something right, it was nothing. Like it was just radio silence. When I messed up or didn't box out or didn't get back immediately, turn the ball over, missed a shot, it was always something being said. But whenever I did something right, it was nothing. Couldn't get any type of congratulations. And I'm not one of those players that I need you to tell me when I'm doing well. Uh, Now every now and then I don't mind a hey good shot or good stuff. I don't mind that every now and then, but I don't need that all the time. I don't need that, right? But it can't just be criticism. It can't be 95 criticism, 90%, 95% criticism, 5% congratulations. That's just not even great. I wouldn't even mind 70-30, like 70% criticism, 30%. But it just has to be a certain way too. Like with the criticism, is it constructive criticism, or are you just criticizing and just saying everything I'm doing bad without the extra context to it? So it's a balance to everything. But you know, that was another situation I was in. I was being belittled and demeaned, and my confidence was shot. I would get in the game, bro, and I'm like, hey, if I miss this shot, bro gonna take me out immediately, or he gonna try to embarrass me and scream at me for. So I was playing tentative. I was being timid, and so that's why I kind of I understand now that I'm older and I've grown and I've matured. I'm able to empathize and sympathize with different players and different people because you just never know their situation. They could be extremely skilled, but you got a coach who is not pouring into them and is tearing them down every single day, and they're not able to play. And that's a lot. That happens a lot. And that's why you have to be strong. And I'm glad I was able to triumph. It was God that was taking me through it, but uh that's why, in sports, you got all the talent in the world, but if you're not, if you can't take adversity and triumph through that and go through it and figure it out, you're not gonna last long. So, and that's in life, honestly, but that's why I think sports are just so amazing because it teaches you life skills, and because you're gonna deal with a lot of different people. But anyway, I kind of went on a tangent with that, but I wanted to give y'all some real life examples with letting people define you and belittle you. We can't. You just can't. Um, Again, it goes back to being honest and transparent with yourself, and then even deeper, it goes back to the confidence thing, but being confident in God, knowing that, hey, I feel like trash right now, but God, just please, I just need you to take me through. I know you're gonna take me through, but I just need you to remind me. Just having that confidence in Him and knowing that, hey, I'm through a rough patch right now, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, and just all those different things, like just knowing that. But yeah, I wanted to stress that point right there. Moving forward, I think this is another thing we do. We can't seek approval from others. Um, we can't seek approval from others. I think a lot. I know a lot of people who are people pleasers. They do things so other people can congratulate them or tell them they're doing well, or so other people can feel well and comfortable around them. There's nothing wrong with wanting to serve others. We're all supposed to be servants. We're all supposed to serve other people, but when we're doing things just for other people's approval, when we're doing things just for others, uh, just for their, um, support, or just so they can pass on the back, we're looking at it the wrong way. So when they don't give you that approval, then what? Then what's gonna happen? So I think that's a thing. We just need to make sure we're doing things first. We need to be making sure we're trying to glorify God with everything we're doing. We're gonna mess up. You're gonna make mistakes, but we can't seek approval from other people. And we want to make people proud. I'm not saying we don't want to make people proud. You want to make your family proud, your friends proud, your spouse, your relationship partner, whatever that is. You want them to be proud of you, but we shouldn't. Everything we're doing should not be motivated just for their approval. That's not how life should go. And then also moving forward, you can't let people sell you short. Again, it goes back to the defining and belittling. Uh, Letting people try to tell you what you are or how you do things, or you're doing something when they're like, hey, well, actually, no, you're not that. Can't let people do that. Um, so that kind of goes back to what I was already talking about. But I think again, seeking approval from others, it doesn't get you anywhere in the long term. We need to know again who we are and whose we are, and uh, ultimately we're just seeking God's approval, making sure that everything we're doing is aligning with His will and what He says is for us or what He has for us. So I think that's something that just again that we need to be cognizant of and stress in our lives. We do not need to be seeking approval from other people. And it's a verse that talks about that. Galatians 1:10, it says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Now I'm going to say it one more time. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Now you see that it says pleasing people. We're not put on this earth to please people. We're here to serve others, but not please. And when God says we're trying to just please people and people please, we're not being a servant of Him. That's not what He wants us to do. we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all fallen. We're in a fallen world. So us trying to follow up behind and do things just for other people's approval, it's not gonna get us anywhere. That's not what we're put on this earth for. And when we do that, we're not knowing our worth. We're more than that. We're more than just following up behind what's his name or what's her name. Uh, we're more than that. And I think we can find ourselves doing it a lot. And even like I know a lot of times with people, uh, I apply everything to sports, but even like a 9 to 5, because I've worked 9 to 5s before and I've seen it firsthand where, and we call it, kissing bottom basically, but or a teacher's pet in school. But you have people who they do everything just to make sure their boss looks at them the right way or use them in the right way, which rightfully so. I get it. You want to make sure you and your boss have a good rapport, you guys are on a good accord. But when you're doing everything just to, you know, make sure you're all in their face and make sure that they just think only great of you, that's when it gets a little, OD. Because I've had people at work and in sports. I've had people who, in sports, talk crazy about the coach. Be all up in the group chat talking crazy. And then as soon as coach pull up, yo, coach, what's the words? You good? Like, come on, bro. Um, and that's a different topic. But again, just trying to seek approval from that person, trying to make sure that uh, you're presenting yourself a certain way, which everybody wants to be viewed a certain way by their superiors, but everything you do is just trying to, and when I say that, it gets to that point where everything they're doing is they're seeking approval from the other person, that they're taking other people down with them. Like their teammates that you're supposed to be locked in with, you you throwing smut on their name just to, seek approval from the coach. So it's kind of weird. And then on the flip side, with 9 to 5s, like a regular job, I've had the same thing where you have coworkers who snitching on other coworkers or saying this and saying that just so they can get a raise or just so they can be in better congruence with I don't even know if that's the right word, but better relation with the boss. It's just it's weird. Uh and we just have to be aware when we're doing that and how we're doing it. And honestly, sometimes when people have bosses, it kind of turns into a type of fear factor thing. Like, oh, massacre. I can't make that joke. But my boss is coming. My boss coming. Oh, we got chill. Like, yes, you want to have a certain type of, uh, you want to have a certain type of respect and I don't want to say reverence, but because that's OD, that might be a little bit blasphemous. But you want to have a certain type of respect for your boss and your superiors because you're working for that person. But I think a lot of times it turns into a certain type of fear. And I say that because I want to bring up this verse, Proverbs 29, verses 25 to 26. And it says, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Many seek an audience with the ruler, but it is from the Lord that one gets justice. So again, it's basically saying that we should not be out here just trying to get these people applause, regardless if it's your boss, regardless if it's your superior. Obviously, there's a certain type of relationship and rapport you want to have with your superiors and people that are above you as far as rank and hierarchy in your job, sport, whatever, occupation. But we should not be living to just please them and to make sure they're happy and make sure they view us in a certain light. Because and again, fear of man will prove to be a snare. It's saying if you have some type of fear towards a man, or you're looking at them, oh, I can't do this around them because you're not gonna live your life the right way. It says, but it's from the Lord that one gets justice. You don't have to worry about these people. My mom has told me so many stories with her bosses where my mom didn't get outside herself. My mom didn't get outside her comfort zone. My mom continued to do the right thing. When people try to throw someone on her name, when people try to, throw her under the bus and do all these things, and her coworkers might have said this just to try to make it seem like this. Every single time my mom told me those stories, my mom was always ended up still where she was at, still ended up, getting the promotion or getting this job or asking to do this, asking to do that, with being herself, not having to get out of her comfort zone, not having to worry about just, oh, I need to do this so the boss can, like, no, you can't. Living your life like that is nasty work. Nobody wants to live their life like that, and a lot of people do, but you can't. You're not gonna fully live how you want to live and reach your potential if you're always just living for others. Again, it goes back to knowing your worth. You're more than that. You're more than just trying to please other people, trying to make sure that you're doing this so you can get here and do it. It's more to life than that. Um, so that's what I would say with that. I think all of these things um apply to relationships. And again, I'm talking about familial, platonic, and romantic relationships. Um, and I think more specifically, we can't compromise or settle due to like a lack of awareness of your worth. What do you mean? I mean, we know this. There are people who stay in relationships because, and it might be a marriage, it might just be boyfriend girlfriend, but we cannot stay in a relationship due to the lack, again, due to the lack of awareness of your own worth. Some people don't know their own worth. Some people think they're this and they're not. Some people don't view themselves in a certain light. And a lot of it can be attributed to relationships and the people in the relationship. And a lot of times you might be in a relationship where somebody tells you you're this and you're that, and you believe it. And now you feel like, oh, well, this person thinks like this about me, and they're not, and they're still here. Well, if I give it to somebody else, how am I gonna give somebody else if I leave? Cause I'm this. And this might sound crazy, but these are conversations I've had with people where they stay just because this person has been telling them they're this and they're this, or they lack this, and if they give somebody else, they're not dealing with this. And I'm the only person that can stay with you with this. And it becomes mental warfare. And it's just kind of crazy. And again, just this applies to relationships. We cannot compromise or settle. We can't belittle I think a lot sometimes we belittle ourselves, and because of the other person relationship, and we make ourselves feel small for this other person. And if you have to make yourself feel small for anybody in a relationship, that's not somebody you want to be in a relationship with. And again, that's family, friends, or boyfriend or girlfriend, or wife or husband, whatever that may be. And when if you feel like you can't be yourself, you can't be confident in yourself, you can't be confident in your own skin, you can't be comfortable, then that's a sign that you do not need to be in a relationship. Again, whatever type of relationship that is. So I just think, again, it goes back to knowing your worth and being aware. Again, you don't want to do that due to a lack of awareness of who you are and whose you are. We have to know all these things. And it's important to know this in relationships because you can be taken advantage of. Now, prayerfully, you're with somebody who will never take advantage of you, even when you are not recognizing your worth. Uh, I don't have to speak about my own relationship, but I'll say I've been in relationships where, maybe she wasn't as confident as she needed to be, or she had insecurities. And my job with that is letting her know, hey, you're beautiful inside and out. Uh, you're how God made you. You're perfect the way God made you. I love you for who you are. You don't need to change this. You don't need to change that. You don't need to think about this, think about that. Like, you're perfect the way you are. So that's my job as, the significant other, to let them know their worth even if they don't recognize it at the moment. And so that can be a situation too. So preferably you're with somebody who, when you're not when you're not aware of your worth, that they are there to remind you and pick you up. And that's what relationships are for. So preferably, like, we're in relationships with that. But if you're with somebody who doesn't do that, then you don't need to be in that relationship. I want to also talk about just being aware and conscious and cognizant of jealous people and jealousy and envy. There are a lot of people literally playing on your downfall. I've seen it firsthand. I've heard people confess to doing it. It's crazy. I've had teammates who literally said that I was preying on your downfall. And when it gets to that, it's funny because in church they were talking about, and my mom has spammed this forever, but we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We can't look at these people that, man, I despise this person, or I have disdain for, like, no. Sometimes sometimes these people are terrible people. Don't get me wrong, but it's the devil working in them. Now they still have control over what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, but we cannot look at it like that. Like, oh, this person I hate. Like, we can't do that. We have to view it as it's the devil working. You feel me? So the devil trying to get people. It's his playground. So he trying to see who he can get. Another verse that my mom's been spamming forever. You know, the you know, the devil, Satan is your enemy. The devil's your enemy, and he's seeking around. He's, prowling around, seeking who he may devour. You feel me? Like, he's looking, trying to see who he can get. And that's real life. And a lot of people are jealous. A lot of people are envious of you. A lot of people are um they're embarrassed of themselves. So they try to get down on other people. They see your light, so they're trying to dim your light because they're not confident in their own light. There's a lot of people like that. And again, I've had to learn that as I've gotten older. And we just have to be, again, just aware of that. And know that when people get to that level, they're going to try anything to bring you down. They're going to try anything to make you come back down to earth like you're not already here, in a sense. Obviously, metaphorically, but I'm going to try to humble you when you don't need, everybody needs to be humble, but they're going to try to humble you as if you're not humble, right? And it's just a lot of things, bro, with that. We just have to be aware of that. It might be people who you think are your friends, who you think are your best friends, but they're jealous of you. They're envious of you. They want what you have. They're preying on your downfall, which is so crazy to me. That's a whole nother topic, but imagine getting on your knees. Imagine getting on your knees, right? Praying to God for someone else's demise. That is crazy to me. Like, just that image, bro. Like, you took time out your day to talk to God about my downfall? That's just nasty work to me. I don't even know how you think that's how God works, though. Like, that's where it gets icky. Like, you honestly, that's how God works. That's how he operates. If you do, that's on you. But I'm sorry to tell you, that's not how my guy operates. And it's insane to me. But that's another topic for another day. But again, just being conscious of that, being aware when people there are, you might have friends who you think are your friends that are actually over there just jealous, and because you're getting what they want or whatever, and they're trying to bring you down. So just be aware of that, because those are always things. And I said that to say because they're trying to um you know devalue you and not let you know who you are and your worth is. And a lot of times they know who you are. They know whose you are. They know your worth. And they're trying to make sure you don't see it. So it's all different types of things on the spectrum, and things I've been able to experience myself, things I've been able to see in I can't think of the word. Oh man. Spectate, sorry. Things I've been able to spectate and see myself. Um, but yeah, it's all different types of things. But I think wrapping up, man, I think we just need to pray for confidence, and pray for discernment to be able to recognize our strengths, recognize our weaknesses, and how we can improve. Just overall, and just asking God to show you your worth. Obviously, we have the ultimate worth in God. We're made in His image, and we're trying to live like Him every day. But asking God to show you, give you signs, give you discernment of how you can operate your day to day with the gifts He's given you, and the things He's blessed you with. So I think when we get down to it like that, it makes it a little bit easier, and you can operate a little bit better. But just praying for those things, and ultimately just asking God to show you who you are, right? And you already know whose you are, but who you are, and how you can continue improving. Again, just use the traits, the characteristics, the gifts God has given you to improve and expand His kingdom as much as possible. So that's all I would say today, man. I hope this helps somebody, man. I'm just trying to. This is something I was thinking about. I was talking to somebody, and I was like, man. But yeah, again, knowing your worth, praying on it, making sure we have these different intangibles. Uh, you know, but that's all I would say, man. I hope y'all can learn from this. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I thank y'all for all the love and support. Thank y'all for listening, man. Again, I'm praying for y'all. Hope y'all been doing well. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to hear more of. Um, yeah, just stay in touch with me, man. Comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends, all those different things. Follow me on the Spotify, follow me on the Apple Podcast, follow me on Instagram on the podcast page, Kind of Joy Pod, and on my main page. All my links are in the bio. Follow me on Instagram, subscribe to me. I already said Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. I don't like TikTok, but follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to me on YouTube. I need to update the videos now. I have way more time since I'm not in school anymore, so I'll try to update those pages as quickly as possible. And yeah, man, yeah, hope y'all have been enjoying it, man. Continue to do this. I love this. This is something, it's therapeutic for me, kind of cathartic for me in a way, but yeah, I'm able to do this and able to do something I like and talk and just be me. Another thing too, I'm supposed to be starting, actually, I'm not gonna say that. I'll just let y'all know later on when it gets closer to it, but just know I got some more stuff coming. Got some more things in the vault that I'm working to. And yeah, y'all stay tuned in for that. But yeah, man, y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay prayed up. Keep God first. Love, attitude, gratitude. I'm out. Peace.